For Damir Mitric, Melbourne is peaceful and secure. But he's haunted by horrors that occurred a world away. He and his family fled the brutal war that began in Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1992.
Like any war would affect anybody, it's something that's always a part of you. So I think it has a really profound influence on anybody, and certainly has had on me.
You wouldn't be happy.
Wherefore is this cake?
For eating. I think we're going to eat the cake.
Damir came to Australia with his parents. He's now rebuilt his life, but the war tore his family apart. I first met him through our work on refugee issues.
So it's mum and dad. That's what dad looked like just before the war. That's my brother, that's myself.
I'm intrigued by his struggle to make sense of the conflict in Bosnia and what it's done to his family.
So my uncle. So this is my aunt.
Damir loved playing with his cousins before the war broke out. Soon after, they disappeared and their bodies have never been found. There isn't even a photo of them. Now, 20 years after the war ended, he's going back to Bosnia to find out who killed them. He's determined to solve this family mystery, no matter how hard the truth.
I always wanted to know what happened to them and also to tell their story so that people know. And then there's also the other side of the story of those people who are trying to live in a country that is very, very divided.
In 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina exploded into a vicious ethnic conflict. For 4 years, neighbour slaughtered neighbour. There was genocide, mass rape, and concentration camps as Serbian forces conducted ethnic cleansing against Bosnian Muslims. Bosnia is peaceful now. The markets and cafes are vibrant.
Yes, there.
And it's a warm welcome in the capital, Sarajevo, for Damir from his aunt Munevra and her granddaughter.
Ništa nema kod tebe.
Today, Damir wants to show me the suburb he grew up in.
No, evo ovdje je škola.
It was under constant attack during the war. Munevra remembers the terror of those days.
I tu nas je snajper samo imila. Svakoga trenutka i svakoga kutka gdje se šta desilo. I sa kakvim strahom smo prelazili i hoda.
Da.
A sad sam grozno, žalosno, tužno.
And this is Damir's family apartment. It's where his childhood was ended abruptly.
Okay, so here we are in my home, my humble home, looking very empty, but fixed after the war.
The apartment was hit and burned down.
This was my and my brother's room. So this is where our beds were. Fear was part of that time, for sure, because as a kid you started realizing that people die. At night the shooting would intensify, and I mean you could see outside grenades or ammunition flying through the air. So we would then make a call and all neighbors would go down to the cellars.
The war cut a swathe through family and friends who had lived together for generations. Damir is the child of a mixed marriage. He has a Bosnian Muslim mother and a Serbian father. His uncle was killed fighting for the Serbian army, the very forces that destroyed Damir's home. He's laid to rest here.
It is very complicated for children of mixed marriages. We're living monuments of a time of living together. and also living monuments of pain and suffering, because we all suffered on all sides. I'm sad about this ritual. I'm sad that I can't come here and visit my uncle and have a coffee with him rather than visit his graveyard.
Damir believes his multicultural heritage gives him the authority to talk about truth and reconciliation.
I actually really believe that our perspective is kind of very important if we are going to be able to imagine a Bosnia in the future. And I think it is exactly the sort of loss of people like myself which needs to be taken into account in the present as we're trying to actually imagine a coexistence here.
But imagining a coexistence won't be easy. At this commemoration service for 8,000 men butchered at Srebrenica, Bosnian Muslims stoned the Serbian Prime Minister. He had once called for their slaughter. Damir, his Aunt Minevra and I leave Sarajevo on the search for what happened to Damir's cousins. And I'm wondering if after 20 long years, his quest for the truth can be realised.
So that's the family tree that gives you a sense of basically who my cousins are.
As Damir sketches the family tree, the extent of the devastation is clear.
Kreso and Adem have been found in a mass grave. Omer, Ibrahim, Munira and Meira have never been found. So one of my cousins, they believe that they have found a fragment of Ibrahim, but it's not quite clear.
His two missing cousins were the same age as Damir. They disappeared as the conflict saw war crimes committed by all sides, with more than 100,000 people killed and 2 million more displaced.
So it goes back to the why people disappeared, how it is possible to separate children and men and kill off 10 members of one family. I'm probably also interested to see how some of my other family survives and deals with that, because we still have family who has returned and who are trying to rebuild lives.
We're heading to the Nevesnia Valley. It's where Damir's cousins lived and where they were last seen alive. He's hoping to find clues to their fate from members of his family still living there.
Yes, sad idemo dole, so we should be able to see Nevesnia down in the valley.
The whole area was ethnically cleansed when Serb forces slaughtered or forced out Bosnian Muslims. But as we approach Nevesnia town, we're joined by one of Damir's uncles who's not so sure about us filming there. He says that the town is full of perpetrators who haven't been brought to justice. So, what's his concern?
His primary concern, as I understand it, is really what effect us being in the town would have on his immediate family, really, in terms of the sort of the lives that they're trying to rebuild. In a town that is not speaking about the reality of local neighbours killing their local neighbours.
Damir's not about to jeopardise his relatives living here, but he's also determined to break the code of silence so this country can move forward in the right direction. We proceed with caution.
It seems to be not safe to be in town and film people that, possibly have been committing horrible crimes and who are here in a completely ethnically clean, to use that term, place.
And then, in the middle of Nevesnia, we come across this poster celebrating the notorious Serbian general Ratko Mladic. Mladic has been tried in The Hague for war crimes, including genocide, and his verdict will be announced soon. He clearly has many sympathisers here. Damir's caution may well be warranted. This is the house here?
Yes, so we're here.
We eventually find where Damir's cousins lived, and he's edgy. As an outsider, he doesn't want to create a problem for his relatives in the valley.
And there's a car coming, so just wait. Because it will just lose sound.
Do you want us to walk around the corner so we're not obvious until the car's gone by?
I really want to capture this before we... So we are now in my family's little village, if you like. Just a really beautiful place before the war. It was really clean and tidy, and as you can see, it's very overgrown. It's basically destroyed. It feels a bit like a ghost town, really. And just here is the shop that my dad used to, that belonged to my family here. It was the local, you know, if you want, like a corner store.
Damir's relatives are dead or driven out, and now someone else has taken possession of the shop. The ethnic cleansing did what it was supposed to do.
So it is quite eerie. Quite eerie. Yeah. And I do feel, you know, I can't really tell you what I feel right now. I feel probably numb. Yeah, maybe I feel numb, that's all.
Sve je uzeto, mislim, nema, srce je iskinuto. Grozno se osjećam, eto, to je to. Grozno, znaš da i više nema, da i nećeš nikad vidjeti, eto, to je to.
I feel really terrible. I feel terrible being here, and I feel terrible. But I also feel really proud that my aunties, that we are here together. Yeah. It's just, it's really heartbreaking.
Dobro.
Further down the valley, these houses stand testament to ethnic cleansing by Serb forces. Their owners slaughtered or driven off. And this is Halil, another of Damir's uncles. He's a survivor, and despite the murderous past, he and his family took the brave decision to return home and try to rebuild their lives.
Pa vratio se iz prostog razloga što sam prije rata izuzetno fino živio.
Halil says he is safe and gets along with his neighbours, but no one talks about the war.
Onda ne moraš ti, ne treba ja puno i ne polemišem na tu temu. Ne moraš sve u isti kontekst strpati. Evo ovdje i naših komšija. Uglavnom idealni su svi ljudi, a ima i zlikovaca. I na svakoj strani.
It seems to be that people here are accepting safety on the condition that they don't threaten the court of silence. And this is what I see as personally as a danger for Bosnia and for its future. We must have justice. We must have people being prosecuted for the crimes that they've committed, which will mean the court of silence will have to be broken. So that we can have an honest discussion about who did what to whom.
These are lofty sentiments from Damir, but Halil believes the government is not committed to truth and reconciliation.
Da je bilo malo više sluha sa nivoa države ili viših organa koji prate povratak, možda bi bilo ovdje 10 Halila, ne bi ja sam.
Ma daj da te zakljam. Ja vola dolazim se. Ako dolazim definitivno. Hvala ti.
Nema na ti.
Ja vola dolazim se. Ako dolazim definitivno.
Meeting with Halil and hearing about his need for silence hasn't made Damir's quest for truth and justice any easier.
It's a confusing place, Bosnia. Just a million emotions at the same time. Really difficult to put into words. So many feelings.
We leave Nevesnia without speaking to anyone outside of Damir's family. And what concerns me is the people we're not talking to.
It's about searching for the truth and getting justice out of the truth as a foundation for a future.
So we're doing, in fact, exactly what you're seeking to do.
Exactly.
But we're not going to ask the perpetrators.
You know, it's not possible to do it. I wish we could do it, you know, and we're seeking that dialogue, seeking that contact, but clearly it is not happening, and it is the core of the issue. And it goes to the core of everything that we do. But, you know, this will not happen today, just as much as it has not happened since 1995. You know, it's an illusion to think that this is what we're going to be doing.
Searching for truth and breaking the silence is also driving the man we're about to meet. His name is Sudbin Mitric.
Dobar dan.
He's returned here to Prijedor.
Yes.
Sudbin understands Damir's quest for missing relatives. He had to search for his own father, who was killed by Serbs. Damir hasn't seen him since they were refugees 20 years ago.
Kaže, ona je kaže, samo nije infarkt dobila.
Despite Bosnian Muslims being massacred in the surrounding streets, he decided to come back.
And one way you feel yourself as a victor, you know, somebody decided to kill you, to deport you, to destroy your homeland. Look at me now, I am a survivor, I'm a victor. Your stupid philosophy you're following is you lost.
Life could be good here, but Sudbin thinks his victory in returning may be fragile. He feels the political climate is getting worse and is concerned about the future.
You are starting to feel yourself not as a victor anymore. You are starting to think, oh my God, I'm losing it again.
This morning we're travelling to an area where Bosnia's history and destiny collide. Sudbin's taking us to a mass grave.
So we are very close. The mass grave is over there, but we have to take a while. Just drive, just move on.
It's a reluctant ritual for him. He calls himself a curator of non-existent memorials, someone who brings others to sites of horrendous crimes that are not yet acknowledged.
This is actually a place where everybody should be quiet.
This is the third time that this area at Yakarina Kosa has been excavated as part of ongoing investigations into war crimes.
Can you imagine to hold the head of your father in your hands? I did it. Yeah, this is something what is outside of your reality. And we are in 21st century. Yeah. In the heart of Europe. Mines, mass graves, war criminals.
It is a deeply sobering experience to be here. We weren't allowed to interview any of the police or officials carefully sifting the area. As more remains are unearthed, Damir's thoughts return to his missing cousins, wherever they may lie.
They're not being even searched for because people don't even know where a mass grave could be. But even if you take this out, this is the reality of everybody in Bosnia. Whether they have lost somebody or whether they know somebody who was involved in a crime or whether they were a bystander or whoever they might be. And it matters to everybody.
And Sudbin wants us to see another infamous site. Hundreds of people were buried here. Tomasica is the largest mass grave in Europe since World War II.
Or people were used for collecting bodies and then killed here as the last witnesses. It is surrounded with Serbian settlements, you know. They know. We know that they know. They were all involved.
If Bosnia's past lies buried here, then the presence of Damir and Sudbin, the two activists for truth and reconciliation, may represent the future.
Bosnia is not only the state, it's the idea. My presence here is making Prijedor multicultural, multi-confessional, multi-vitamin, whatever.
To be standing at Tomašica and to be discussing a future of Bosnia is absurd in some sense. But I think it's also the foundation of any possible living together of the peoples of Bosnia. This will be the foundations of it. And I think if we cannot incorporate this, if we cannot use this as the cement that we are going to use to lay the foundation, then the house will crumble. There's no question about it.
Okay, let's go. I cannot stay here anymore.
Yeah.
Really.
With our trip to Bosnia drawing to a close, Damir's heard from someone in the historic city of Mostar who says his cousins were captured by Serb forces. But is this the truth?
Mostar is the most devastated city in the former Yugoslavia, worse than Sarajevo or Vukovar. It's a vicious fight and it has a long way to go.
Built in the 1500s, the city was smashed during the war. Today, it's been rebuilt. And high on a hill overlooking the city, we meet Senad America, an author and documentary maker. He says he has the answers that Damir is looking for.
Kako je moguće znati tačno šta se desilo?
Vrlo jednostavno. U 90% slučajeva su ostali živi svjedoci.
He's done years of research with Sarajevo University about the ethnic cleansing that occurred in nearby Nevesnja.
Nikakva nagađanja, nikakve pretpostavke, nikakve predrasude, nego čista i gola istina.
At long last, Damir is about to learn the fate of his cousins. He knows the truth will be dark.
Prvu grupu, odnosno muškarce, su odmah razdvojili i nakon brutalnog maltretiranja su ih odveli na obližnju jamu Breza i sve do jednog strijeljali. Žene i djecu odvode u grad Nevesnje, tačnije u kotlovnicu, jedan koncentracioni logor, naravno, koji je tada napravljen. Iz te kotlovnice su odvedeni i svi pobijeni na jami.
Bude mi teško, vratim se ko, treba mi da se oporavim.
Damir may never find his cousin's remains, but his belief in a peaceful, multicultural future is unshakable.
I'm dedicated to this cause. We are fighting for the truth to turn into justice for all peoples of Bosnia, of all ethnic backgrounds, of all people who have lost someone, who have suffered. And we need to honor and preserve that, and we need to remember that in order to be able to use our energy more productively.